You weren't in the chat, right? You weren't on Twitch?
I was listening to a little bit of Chris
Oh, okay.
before.
Because he's in the chat
Yeah.
and he's gonna like spam it for you.
Of course he is. God damn it.
Okay.
Typical Chris.
All right. So what's good, bro?
I'm not fan. I want a break. Trying to get a whole life journey career started.
Okay.
Working on some choreo with Emily.
I think
I told you that.
saw that somewhere, or you said that, yeah. Like a
Yeah,
post or
we.
something.
Oh, wait. Yeah, we're trying to. It's a whole different genre for me, man.
Mm-hmm.
Whole different one.
Mm-hmm. What, like work, like choreographing with someone?
I mean, it is my first time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last time was kind of with like Nalene, and she like helped like with like collaborating, being like, oh, you should do something with your hands or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But in terms of genre, because this past semester was like my second time choreographing,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's like all like hip hop, like um, and all that stuff. And then, but Emily, she's really inspired by like Summer Squad. Shout out to Intermission. Shout out to you,
Hey,
Tana.
let's go.
Um, if anybody's watching, Eat, Sleep, Dance, Repeat. It's an amazing convention you should go to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we're doing Happier by Marshmello.
Mm.
So we're taking a whole, at least for me, like that's like a little bit contemporary and like showing a story,
Mm-hmm.
which I haven't done before.
Mm-hmm.
And damn man, it's been challenging, but you know, yeah, do what we gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
She's been killing it. So it's her like first choreo basically.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's dope then. Okay. Okay.
I see
Okay.
you've been on a grind. Are you?
Huh?
I see you've been on a grind. How you been doing?
Oh yeah, it never stops. Um,
Never that.
yeah, it's fun though. It's all good. Okay, so you right now, just to clarify, you don't have Twitch pulled up, right?
Yeah. I Twitch pulled up. Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay,
Twitch pulled
okay,
up.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I'm
okay,
seeing all the chat
okay. Just making
as
sure.
of right now.
Yeah, I've been good. I just feel like I share a lot of things. So, I'm so close right now to. I had listed one of my goals recently, and it was to be like a part-time like social media brand strategist or whatever. Like, just kind of name it
Mm,
whatever, but just basically helping businesses grow their presence online. And but the thing is, I want to do it with very specific companies, and it's two companies that I'm really close with and that I really believe in. And so I'm really close. I had met up with the owner, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. We talked, and I just have to wait for what can work for them financially. And so once I get that, I'm gonna be so excited because it's gonna happen. We just don't know, like, we don't know the details yet. And so
where?
I'm so stoked. And there's so much, like, along with that, it gives me a lot of. It's at a dance studio. In the dance studio, the instructor is very wholesome. Like, she's into nutrition and holistic health, preventative care, all that kind of stuff. And she wants to expand. Um,
Mm,
and I have a lot to say when it comes to a lot of that stuff. And so, from a creative
yeah,
aspect, if I want to, help put people on or empower the community or give them a space or whatever it is that we can do, that's kind of where I'm at right now for like a career thing. And that's something that I've been wanting. Um,
mm,
so that's something that I'm doing. And then I'm always doing like the other stuff, which is like the stream and the podcast and whatever. That's all just trying to bring the realness to the table. Um,
right.
and that's like my favorite thing to do. And then the other stuff, I'm just working like to have enough to get by. Um, just contract work right now.
Mm.
I think that's like kind of like the short version. That's like, and then on top of all, I'm just good. Like I'm happy.
That's all
Peaceful.
about.
Yeah,
That's all about.
yeah, it's good.
Dang, man. Moving towards your happiness. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's so
That
good.
journey. That journey is so hard. Man, I don't know much now. Like, like that. Yeah, yeah. It's just crazy.
Thank you,
And
Chris. Sorry. Usually I type in the chat, but I'm gonna just say thank you. So thanks for the
yeah,
sub,
yeah, yeah.
bro. Thank you. Means a lot.
Yeah, I just saw all Chris's fucking comments. uh,
Okay, you were saying?
oh no, just like that road is like something else, and uh, yeah, like I mean, like I said, that convention really helped me.
Dude,
Um,
dude.
I mean, honestly, dude, like it broke a barrier for me in terms of like a dancer, like choreographer,
Mm-hmm.
like being oneself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, because it was an environment that I was able to just, say like fuck it, like
Mm-hmm.
I'll pull out any move and be like, yeah, it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I was like so worried. I was like, oh, this head turn may not look good, or like, what if they think this is not good?
Mm-hmm.
It's like who cares? Like it's an art
Mm-hmm.
based on your self expression, and I learned that through ESDR.
Mm.
It's like sweating balls, man.
Yeah, we know.
I like burned through like 5 shirts or something that day. I only
Oh
had like 4 shirts.
shit. Oh my god.
um, but yeah, like after the convention, as the semester passed, people are like, wow, like you look more confident when you dance. You look more like you could tell like there was a growth there, and I was like, wow. I was like I don't notice this stuff until people like tell me,
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And um, and that's why like that, I think that was a pretty much like crucial part of just my whole 2018 year,
Mm-hmm.
which is like crazy to say, right?
Yeah, it is. It blows my mind, dude.
But it helped me grow in 2018. For me, it was like a year of growth, and I'm gonna continue that with 2019.
Mm.
So yeah, again, season 5, right? Season 5 is next summer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're there,
It's gonna be nuts.
go get it.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Are you starting playing that now?
Not yet. Ideally, we do want to start. Um, if not this year, no, not this year. This month in February.
Word, word.
What's funny though is like, as each year has passed, we've started later each year, and it's so bad. But with each year, it's gotten more successful, and it's like, oh god, we definitely are trying to aim to start way earlier, and we learn every time. We learn so much every time.
Right,
Um,
right. But yeah, if you start later, you're just like, we got. I mean, I can't imagine how it was like season 1. Like, I can't imagine how it is. Like, I missed out. Like,
bro, I did that all by myself. Yeah, I
shit.
always like to tell the story that like I tell people I was like, oh, the convention happened. It was an accident, and I did it out of frustration.
Get
Yeah,
out frustration.
yeah, I was frustrated, and then I gave birth to a convention. So my frustration came from I've always been someone who's hungry. Like I just want things to happen, and like it's possible. Like anything is possible, and I knew that at a young age. I mean, I was going in year 5. I think I was 19 or 20. Not
Mhm.
probably 19 or something like that. And I've run a dance group my whole life. So first was the movement, and then it evolved into SFC, and then we properly renamed it to Intermission. So SFC is like the brand that means something, and then
Mhm.
anything that is gonna get created in the future is like a sub thing of SFC. Um,
Word.
so yeah, I was frustrated with like because always being in a leadership position and wanting to do so much and then busting my ass to do it. Like I come from like, you know, self-taught choreographer, dancer, to getting people together, or like organizing all the logistical stuff, to organizing performances, to choreographing all the dances. So I used to do entire sets and stuff like all just by myself. Um, and whatever around that time, I was just frustrated with like working with other people, whoever I was around at the time, just because if you're like, okay, we have this idea, we're gonna do this thing, let's do it. And then just people, it's kind of like a group project in school, and people kind of just like are stupid, or people are last minute, or someone doesn't do it. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I'm so done with all of this. People can't do stuff, or people are can't this, can't that. And I'm like, I'm gonna do a convention, and I'm gonna just like, cause, and it's like, it's so the frustration is just like I'm like anything's possible, and I'm gonna show people that anything's possible, and I'm gonna do this by myself, and I'm like it's not that hard. I've never done it in my life, mind you, but I was like it's not that hard, and so I put it all together, and I was running. You can see the history on Instagram. That was the main platform I used. If you just scroll at the ESDR, actually there's not even that much content, but if you scroll it down, you're gonna see like a bunch of just dance videos and text, and that was where I started. I just pulled dance videos. I asked all these people that I was cool with, and I had them teach a bunch of choreography classes. It blew everyone's mind, but I know for sure that it planted a seed in a lot of people's heads. So a lot of the leaders, or a handful of leaders today, then started doing stuff and creating shows and stuff like that. I was like, yo, like that's so cool. And that was just something I was able to recognize when certain people would give me praise, like towards the end of the convention, like, you know, he's so young, like, and he's able to do this, and he's one person. And so you just imagine what everyone can do together. And I was just like, hell yeah. And then like, I know like the following year, I think Concept Artist came out with Concentrate on the Artistry, the show. And I was like, fuck yeah. I know that didn't just come out of nowhere. Like I can tell you that. I know it didn't. So I was like, yeah. And then other things started appearing. Like people started hosting more classes, and I was like, that's tight. And I'm not saying I have a direct impact. I just know that I started to see more stuff pop up. After bringing together what I thought were some of the dopest choreographers around our area, and to this day they are, which is really cool. And some people have moved on over to LA and whatnot. So yeah, it was an accident, a frustration, and then eventually, you know, people started coming on, and Elmer is my big dude. Like he's the one that really, he makes everything so much easier because he has the same vision. He really respects, you know, what I'm doing and tries to bring a lot to the table. And so last year was like mostly him, to be honest. Yeah. So I have the vision, and I have like the kind of energy I'd love to bring, and the type of people I want in that space. But ultimately, he's the one that kind of suggested a bunch of people, and I was like, yeah. And then I wanted to throw in the, you know, the speaking workshops and stuff like that, because it's always just trying to bring more to the community and whatnot, and always at an affordable price. So, yeah, dude. Like I don't know if you've been into any other convention, but that's just expensive, and it's crazy. So,
yeah, I mean to have that like that space for like that many days, and like getting this, getting that. It's like, dang, that's like a good way of like frustration. Like, I don't even like it's I'm frustrated. Bam, like convention.
bro, like. And that's kind of a place that I'm in now, which is why like I'm not dancing with intermission. I'm not frustrated necessarily. I've just all the signs have pointed to like you need to do things with yourself first. And I've had conversations with people, and like, you know, like I'm kind of like in this thing where I'm juggling like what I think I want to do and the things that I dream of doing, and then this team stuff, this community that I want to keep continuing to nurture. Then ultimately, like as time passed, I start letting go of stuff professionally and just like, you know, hobbies, dancing with intermission. I dropped a lot of class like jobs that I was doing because I just didn't care about the money, and that was like the main way I was eating. You can eat being a teacher for sure. But yeah, I started just stripping stuff away, left. But it's like it's more than just physically walking away. It was like emotionally too. Like right now I don't know what intermission's doing. I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
direction they're going in exactly. I don't know what's coming up. I am not participating. It's just like, and it's crazy to think about because it's like, just imagine making something that's yours, and then you want it to be a collective thing, and because I've always pushed for collectiveness, especially as I got older, but then you just walk away from it all, like truly. So the only thing
Yeah,
that I'm doing for the people right now as like a collaborative thing is the convention. But other than that, everything is like under my watch, under my time, no pressure, no collabs, nothing.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're still like, it's not you're directly involved, but you're still like involved.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like your spirit is there, but like you're not physically there. So technically, you know what I'm trying to get at,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that. Um,
Um,
Go ahead. I know you have some thoughts.
yeah, yeah. So like you were talking about like juggling a bunch. That's where I'm at right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just like right now with school, dance,
Mm-hmm.
uh, work, social life. I think I think each component is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know when to stop. Like it became a habit in high school.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I need to remember
Um,
to take notes. And keep going.
um, yeah, it was a habit in high school, and like I mean, I persevered. I guess you can say. I mean, I enjoyed like every minute of it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, except like sometimes like I would just not sleep for 46 hours or something like that. That was like a crazy thing or something. Like there was like this 2 day period where like I slept for 2 hours and like 48 hours.
Jesus, bro.
I had like a project, I had like a presentation,
Mm-hmm.
I had a basketball game the next day. By the way, I didn't play that game. I didn't play that game because you could just tell. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're not sleeping at all.
That's wild.
And now, um, I'm like talking with like my coworkers and some of my friends, and they're like, I'm like, oh yeah, I have dance. That branches down to like editing
Mm.
um, and choreographing and like learning dances, practicing dances, b-boy.
Mm.
Um, and then you got like schoolwork, and schoolwork is like schoolwork is schoolwork.
Yeah.
And I got my job, and then I'm thinking about being like a residential assistant in the dorms, and that takes a lot of time.
Damn.
Uh, and then what else I got going on? Like networking, like doing all the like career stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then people are just like why don't you just quit dance?
Try.
I mean, to me, I was like that's like a stab to the heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if I don't have dance, then I feel like I'm just like a career monkey. Like
Yeah.
that's what gets me like excited to see the people I dance with,
Mm.
to be on that stage and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not dropping dance. I mean, there was a point where I was like, dang, like, do I like in order to get to the career path I want to?
Mm.
But then I'm like no, like if I leave, like my like personal happiness is gonna
Yeah.
be gone.
Okay.
But this past semester was just like my social life was just like not there. I mean, I did talk to the most important people that were um, um, to me, like the people I like really cared about and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But this semester I really just want to be like stay connected. Don't really brush off anybody because one of my friends was like, when you're stressed, you tend to push people away.
Mm.
Like I was like, shit, I kind of see that,
Yeah. Okay.
and I don't want to do that anymore.
Okay.
Um, it's just that I think it's just a habit to get rid of. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's dancing. Maybe it's, um, yeah. I don't know, man. It's like a weird. It's like a weird. It's like I know what makes me happy,
Yeah.
but like I just don't do it because I'm like, oh, I got this. I got this.
I can
I
relate.
run around campus and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think I've been in a room in my dorm room for like more than like
Yeah.
an hour when I'm sleeping
Yeah.
because I'm always out.
Holy
Um,
shit.
and people were like, well, one of my coworkers told me to quit dance, and they're like, I think dancing is the problem. And I was like, yo, I mean, I kept it cool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll think about it more, but
Yeah.
I don't think dancing is the problem. I think it's what makes me grow.
Yeah.
Um, in a way, I don't know. Did I just answer my own question?
What was your question? I mean, you were just talking about like how you juggle a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like you said, I mean, you had to let things go, right?
Oh, I can get there. I can. Yo, okay. So first of all, I can relate, especially to
Yeah.
the I'm not doing. I'm not doing more of this thing because I have all this other stuff.
Mm,
All right.
mm.
So, what's first? I'm gonna start with some. You didn't
Hi.
ask. You didn't ask, but
All right.
So I mean,
Just tell it anyway.
basically some praise, bro. Like, cause and then I mean, I don't know if you remember shit from the last time we talked. You talked, and I was just listening. You're drunk.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if you remember
What?
anything. Yeah, you were drunk.
What
That
part?
was like the first what like in depth conversation that you had with me. Do you
Yeah, I could
remember?
be in depth when I'm in that state. I don't remember, bro.
Damn. Okay, so you don't remember? Holy shit, that's crazy. So I
Yeah.
mean, basically, because we were like that either that night or we planned for like, yo, like yeah, we're gonna finally be able to talk to each other, right? And then you went out to a
Yeah.
party, and then I was just chilling. It was mad like probably 2 3 o'clock. I don't just know. It was late, right? And so we finally got to
Yeah, I'm
just
so
sit
sorry,
and
dude.
talk. No, it's all good. And so a lot of your truth came out, and it matches what you're saying now, which is cool.
Mm.
It's just
Okay.
I think the mental part of it was probably harder then, or just more releasing. But if anything, I think you probably definitely for sure have gotten like more mentally sane. I'm just guessing. But yeah,
Hmm.
you opened up about basically everything you're talking about now, more in depth. Talk about your family, pressure. Uh,
Mm.
talk about you weren't sure about dance at that time. Um,
Really?
yeah, you'd mentioned a crush, and yeah, so you talked about pretty much everything. And then I don't know if and then Jamie came in and he was bawling his eyes out. No, doesn't ring a
Yeah,
bell.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
See, I do
that's when it
remember that last
ended.
part. Yeah, yeah. Because I was like, I mean, I'm just talking. I think the like our boy needs it, like my boy needs it more than I do because I'm not the one like just like I don't know. I was like, I don't want to let it be. Because I mean, I knew it was like important
Mm-hmm.
to him for you to talk to him,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd rather have him get what he needs to get out at that certain moment.
Mm-hmm.
I said my few words of encouragement,
Mm-hmm.
and I left
Yeah.
because I knew we were gonna meet him again.
Yeah.
But then by that time, you had to leave, so I was like, oh
Yeah.
damn, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you open up about that stuff. So what I was gonna say, because it's still consistent and I see it now, is that you're blessed as fuck. So I'm gonna just start with that.
Thanks. I
Um,
I I could say that too.
um, and I'm gonna be specific about that. I really admire work ethic a lot
Mm,
because with that, pretty much means you can just do anything. Um, I don't because there's just not enough people with work ethic. You know, people have dreams and ambitions, and they work kind of at a slow pace, or they have too many things that hold them back. And so whenever I come across someone who has amazing work ethic, I'm just like, dude, you're good. Like the other half of the battle is just mental. And
mm,
everyone has that battle, but the thing is, if you were just be able to shift it to the right place, like you're off to the races and it's over. Like whereas other people need to not only do the mental part, but they got to get the discipline part and then the work ethic, right? So when someone has work ethic, it just gets me excited.
mm,
So there's that. That's really dope. Um,
mm,
so when I walked away from stuff, when I let stuff go, um, when I was dancing, I had a vision of what I'm pretty sure I knew what I wanted to do, and as time passed, it evolved into new things that were I don't know what to call it, but just ambitions that weren't fully authentic to who I am. And other things started coming up, and it's fair. It's like, oh, like you gotta train, you gotta take class, you should do this, you should do that, you know, teaching more classes, making money. You know, like if it's for the right person, sure, you know. But I started to notice what I was lacking, and I was like, okay, like, you know, why am I not as happy with certain things, or why do I feel this thing, or why am I putting off my own creations? Because like I'll have an urge, like a creative urge, like, oh, like I want to get this out, and then I say, nah, I got to do this thing. So relating back to you, and I would do that so much, like a lot, all the
Mm.
time, or I would just take a note and be like, oh, I'll do it another time. But the thing is, with creativity like that, it's like in the spur of the moment, and that feeling will leave you. And that's what sucks, because you can't replicate that. And so I know that in those moments, the best things would have came out of me, whether that was dance or whether that was blogging. So the thing with even with blogging was that um, blogging, video, all that kind of stuff. I think I would have an urge to post, like write. Like I love writing. As soon as I write, it's always coming from a real place. I don't strategize that stuff. It just comes out, and I'm just going forever. Then I might go back
Mm-hmm.
to spell check it, whatever. But then there
Yeah.
was a time where I stopped doing that, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna save that for. I'm gonna make it a video or do something instead, because I'm gonna save that, and I just never got to it. And so I stopped writing for a while. But then once I started jumping back into content creation, blogging was the first thing I jumped on, because I was like, this makes me really happy, and I really loved that release. Um, so I've done plenty of that, where you're kind of just like, either I'll get to that later, or like I don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just felt like being a dance teacher was taking a lot of my life, and then feeling the pressure of having to improve my ability as a dancer. Now,
Mm.
if you want that for your life, great. But internally, a long time ago, I knew that that's not what I wanted, but I convinced myself somehow. And when I say I convinced myself, I think I was listening to everyone too much. And I was also just, I didn't have enough experience. So that's why I'm down to 6 classes now. Like, and I'm at studios I really enjoy, and it doesn't drain me in any way. I don't have to, because I felt like I was creating and doing so much for all of these classes, and was getting like a fraction of the return. You know, like I'm not like a lot of other teachers, and I know it's a lot of other teachers that kind of just bust choreo out of their ass. And I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
very thoughtful. This is what my kids are at, and I'm gonna give them something that's gonna fit them musically and dance-y, but I'm also gonna challenge them a little bit, and everyone learns differently, and so I'm gonna craft it this way. And like I really think about it. I don't just make an easy ass combo and then pass it over, you know? And so then
Mm.
when I just felt like I wasn't getting the return, I started to observe and analyze the students more than I would analyze the environment. And I'm like, okay, like it's just not popping here. Like I just can't do this anymore. It's taking away from this other stuff. And I was like, oh. And then when I go to a show, it reminds me of like, oh, I love this shit. Like, or I
Or
choreograph my own thing for my team, and I'm like, yo, I love this shit. Like these are the
mm.
elements of it I like. So I guess I'm gonna drop a lot of these things and just focus on that. Then it started shrinking more and more and more, to the point of like, yeah, like I'm like, at this point, why the reason I'm solo and why I've been able, it's hard to let things go, but the authentic true self has always wanted to choreograph extremely high quality pieces, put time and
Mm.
effort into it, and film either just raw choreography or really good video. Because like I don't care about, and it doesn't knock anyone. It's just an intuitive thing. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
into making choreography for the sake of making choreography, and I'm not into dancing for the sake of dancing. And you can be like, if you just enjoy dancing, no matter what you're doing, that's fire. And I do on some level, but I'm really into crafting and telling, and I feel a huge need to do it. And so
Right.
because of everything else I've been doing, I never put time into that, because I have to prioritize and meet people halfway and compromise, and you know, be a leader and do all these things. And so I was like, you know, fuck it, like I don't want to do any of this. And so I was able to slowly, you know, start cutting ties, and I was like, oh, I have a lot of time now. And then naturally
Mm-hmm.
this stream, like this concept, eventually came to fruition, because this is a concept that I've wanted to do for many years, and my friends talk about doing, like, hey, well, especially when SFC was new and stuff, and our whole squad and community was like, we're just babies, and we're like, you know, like these talks we have are so cool, and like I wish this other person was here, because this is how I feel, and they could relate, or this is what they need to hear. And we're like, yeah, damn, like we wish this person was here. And then we're
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, like we should just film this stuff one day, or just like turn on the camera when we're doing it. And then we're like, yeah. You never get to it. But then I was like, I'm doing it. I'm like
Yeah.
by myself, like, because it's not, you start to see like people have different wants and desires, and I'm like, I want this, I'm gonna do it,
Yeah.
because this keeps me sane. So it was a long journey to really get here and to be in a place where you're really happy, but you just really have to like know authentically what you want, for yourself, and it'll change. Like you'll start to narrow it down and find your stuff, and then you're gonna kind of start expanding again. So that's just a little bit about my journey of kind of putting things off that I feel like I should be doing. That's why I'm happy now. I think that's like the most important thing. It's like I'm so happy doing things and being accountable for the stuff that I say I'm gonna do, and at my pace, and not having to be like, hey, like, did you do that thing yet? Because I'm waiting for that edit, or I'm waiting for this. I don't like doing that, and it's just, and life has just taught me like, well, if people just aren't on the same page, or if they're not mentally stable, they can't do anything for you, even if they're a good friend of yours. And this is like speaking to everyone in my community, trying to do work with people, and then I'm like, okay, like, why did I not receive this video, or why did I not get this or that? And it's like, oh, like I'm stressed, or like all this house stuff is happening, or like my relationship, or like, oh, like school's coming up and this and that, da, 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 and like I'm trying to juggle too many things. And I'm like, okay, it's so much of that, hence like that's the frustration that birthed the convention. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna start from me, and I'm gonna grow, and I'm gonna show what I need to show, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna scale myself. So when I start getting serious and people want to work with me, they can look at all the work and be like, he's for real. And I'm gonna start working with people who are more in my lane, instead of people who are like, yeah, ambition, and like they want to do it, and it's just motivation in that time being, but it's not, there's no discipline, there's no work ethic. So
yeah.
but I'm happy releasing all the stuff that I did, even though I loved it at the time and I really appreciate it. I'm not attached to any of that stuff, but I really, again, like with intermission and making all the friends I did and building those bonds, and then being able to affect you, and like all of it's just like, I appreciate all of it, and it's dope. But now I'm here, and I'm getting good sleep. I feel good, and putting in the work, and I juggle, but I juggle in a way that's like healthy. I'm not saying you're unhealthy or anything, but healthy in the sense of like, there's no conflict, there's no inner conflict or anything. So
Right. Okay. Yeah, man, it's hard to let go of stuff like you love,
yeah,
It's like either you love, or that like you want to get to a certain point,
yeah,
like that you have to take and you have to do it, or else like you're just gonna keep falling like backwards, And like I was like this past semester, I was trying to juggle more, because like all my peers around me in my major, they're like, oh yeah, like I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm looking at myself, I'm like, dang, like I'm not doing what they're doing.
yeah.
But then that was my first mistake, right? Like, everybody has their own journey, and that you're gonna get to where you want to be because of yourself, and not because of, oh, I'm doing what the other person's doing, because that's like a traditional way. I'm talking to a few mentors. They're like, if you're spending time thinking about what another person is doing, you're wasting that time the time you just wasted could have been used to think about what you're gonna do.
Yeah. And
I was like, dang. So that's when like a lot of stress like let go, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, dance is important to me.
Yeah.
Like maybe I won't be dancing like in the future, but I can turn it into something that I'm around still.
Yeah.
And the loophole I found is like, sports, dance, like they're both in the entertainment industry. So why don't I just go into that? So like that was like one way. I was like, okay, like good, like dance like stays part of my life, and because I don't think I could go the full on like dancer route. I don't think I just don't think it's just for me.
Okay.
But I praise like everybody else that does it. Like if you can do it on your own, like you got grit, you got grind, and if it's that passion, then you stick with it. I'm just trying to stick it to another way,
Yeah. Yeah.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I do admire them because it's like, dang, like everybody's like, if you could drop something, like drop everything right now, like what would you do? Like no money, like whatever. I was like, you know what? Like I actually wouldn't mind being like a YouTube like vlog, like daily vlogger or a dancer, like making videos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think I'm just like, you know, me, like I have a different journey, you have a different journey. We're
Mm-hmm.
both just doing stuff on our own to get to where we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like that goes back to like parents, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, I also think it's dope. You put your mom in your story and she talks about all this stuff. Like, hey, dang. I'm like, for real, sometimes mom just like, you know, she's like that guardian angel that's like that's preach or something. Um, but yeah, people are like I was saying, like 2 hours, and I slept for 2 hours and 48 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like why would you do that? Like I would just like drop the project, and I was like, well, um, you know, there's something in my mind every time I do something,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like my parents, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think every first gen, second gen Asian American speak to this, or anybody else that can relate to this. Um, you know, your parents sacrifice a lot for you to be where you are now. I mean, I'm sitting in a bed with a roof on top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they didn't do what they did, then like I couldn't be where I am now. Like I consider myself like really lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and like I know I'm in this stage where I'm like, oh, like re- rebellious, not really rebellious, but like oh, like I just want to do my own thing. Da, 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 da.
Shit. Yeah.
Like um, but you know, like later down the line, I want to repay them for everything that they've done for me. Um, and I'm trying to make my way towards that because that's something like I'm pretty passionate about. That's why I give up. I make my own sacrifices to get to where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is like I was like born 3 months early. I was like pretty small baby,
Mm-hmm.
um, premature, and like right now I don't have any like anything like wrong with me physically, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
And I consider like you said, I consider myself blessed because you know like I'm pretty sure I'm like pretty lucky. If I like I could have been like not born at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like it's like something that like I feel like sometimes it's pressure,
Mm-hmm.
but other times it's like good motivation. You
I
know?
see. I see.
Um, yeah. So like that I bring up my parents a lot when it comes to like, oh, like why are you doing what you do? But then again, like that has also like consumed me
I
a
see.
lot.
I see. I see. I see.
Because I mean, like 46 hours without sleep, like come on, man, like that's
No, that's pretty bad.
that's
That's awful.
so bad.
Yeah.
That's awful. I probably shed like 10 years off my life because of that. But I'm trying to balance it, you know, with dance. It's something that my parents don't really approve. You know, they keep saying like, "Oh, it's always a hobby. It's always a hobby,"
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, to me, it's like it's a passion that
Yeah.
I just can't let go. I thought I was gonna let go after high school.
Yeah.
Like I did my last like performance, and I was like, "All right, this is it. I'm not doing all the dance move again." And I came to college, and I was like, you know, I should give it a chance.
Yeah.
Met Nalene, met you guys, met SFC,
Mm.
and I was just like, there's no way in hell like I'm letting this go.
Mm.
And people are like, yeah, you're so amazing and stuff. Yeah, it's because I kept with it.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, dealing with that pressure, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, did you ever feel that way at all?
Okay. I always tell people that I broke every single rule in the book.
Okay.
And like legit. And I think I don't know what it was in my own head, but I was always a logical kid. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's even just how the whole like it's possible mindset comes from. Because I'm like, look, if that person over there did it, it can happen over here. Like it doesn't matter who it is. So whereas everyone growing up hearing like, oh, 1 in a million, 1 in a million, and then as I started to see internet culture happen, and I started seeing, YouTubers become YouTubers and stuff, I was like, no. I was able to see the differences between the culture online and the world that people were used to living in. So I was an early adopter of all the stuff that we see today. Like I
Yeah.
anticipated a lot of those things happening already. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so, but besides that, um, so the biggest thing was like I couldn't hang out with people. I couldn't stay after school. None of that stuff. And I was like, well, why can't I hang out with people? I'm like, that's so illogical. Like it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make any sense, right? So my parents never made sense. And when I asked, oh, how, like why, I would never get a good answer. And
It's always because I said so
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
basically, don't don't question me or whatever. And it's like it
Mm-hmm.
just didn't make sense. And I was like, fuck it. And so I would sneak and just do mad shit and get busted for every single thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately, I was never into the idea of alcohol or drugs. It just never crossed my mind because of if it just wasn't good for me, I just wouldn't do it. If I was under that impression, I was like, I just want to
Mm-hmm.
be functional. I want to know what I'm doing. I want to be good. So
Yeah.
I gravitated towards dance. It was always kind of in my family a little bit, but like what really kickstarted it to go crazy was America's Best Dance Crew. Um, and I was like, that's
Hey.
cool. I want to do that, and I want to. And my first thought was like, I want to have a crew, and then it evolved into, I want there to be a community, and then as I started wanting things that were difficult to achieve,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm gonna lose that train of thought. I wasn't I wasn't like I understood that it was gonna take a lot of work. Even I was 16. Okay, I got my first crew done, started, and then I wanted there to be like a community to flourish and stuff, and I was told that it's not possible. And I was like, oh, you supply and demand, you just gotta create it. It's fun, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just started to see because I was exposed to the internet, YouTube, and all that stuff, and I was just seeing how people were living and all that kind of stuff. And just so with my parents having limitations, I was like, you guys don't make sense, and you don't know what's going on with the world. And I was already forgiving, like forgiving to people and like trying to do stuff for the planet and stuff. Even around that time, I started to get more aware, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
they want me to not do this and this and that, which is this. When I'm looking at this, I'm like, so I always saw this. So when it
Mm-hmm.
came to like the little things that were super petty, like with my parents and stuff, it just didn't matter enough. So I was like, because while I was doing what I was doing in the artistic world, I'm like making impact. And I'm like, because I choose to do this, I'm making someone happy or I'm helping someone become this. I'm like, they don't see that. I'm like, that's valuable, And then eventually I find my way to like mental health and stuff like that. But it's just knowing that what I'm doing is important. And when they say like curfews or um, all this other stuff or being worried, it's like, no, it's not important. Like I promise it's not. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I always tell people, I'm like, the closer you move to who you're supposed to be and you start living to your potential, now you're being of service to people who need you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because right now you're being restricted on some level by your parents, and it's because you're afraid. And once you figure it out and you realize, like when you are able to touch someone on that level doing something that goes completely against your parents, it just doesn't make sense to do
Yeah.
what they say. Like if I
Right.
broke a rule to save someone's life, that's it. And like there's been situations like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also just being persistent and my perspective changing and wanting to help my parents become healthier and all that kind of stuff or whatever. So it was hard. It was hard in the sense
Yeah.
of I always was met with resistance, but I always believed in what I was doing. And I know it's different when you don't necessarily believe in it, and there's all those other things, and even like the whole paying back. I never thought about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got older, I'm like, if I'm gonna help them, I'm like, the most important thing is not money. Clearly, it's like it's not. It'd be great if they don't have to work as much or never have to work because I get all this money somehow. But it'd be
Mm-hmm.
better if they didn't worry about me as much, if they had their own passions, if they stopped making excuses, if they went to the gym, if they changed how they ate. I was like, that's important. And
Yeah.
so then, yeah, it all kind of just makes sense. It was like an evolution. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answered your question. I faced the same
No. Yeah.
adversity, but my mindset was different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like a general thing, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, like most of my friends are like, oh, dude, like relax. It's just like having an Asian parent. I'm like, yeah, no, but why can't I? Like, if they're staying till like people are staying out till midnight,
Yeah.
but like I'm not doing anything like legal. Like
Yeah.
I'm just hanging out.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to live in the moment, de-stress from all the stuff that's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, oh, you gotta get home at this time because it's a lot of what ifs. And I understand as a parent, like
Yeah.
what ifs is huge, and like you don't want the what ifs to happen. But I'm like, like I think I've proven to them that I'm a trustworthy kid.
Yeah.
That I can, be responsible, be on time, don't come back too late,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. But I feel like even now, like my brother, who's like 20, 26, no 25, like they're even still lecturing him because he's home, and he's always like, "Yo, like I want to get out of here."
Yeah.
But yeah, I know. Like, I mean, I kind of want to too, but like you gotta do stuff on your own because I can't because I can only do so much
Mm-hmm.
for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and then like this is like the whole mind of like disappointing my parents. I know I can never. The things I do now is something that I never uh, did anything to disappoint them,
Mm-hmm.
but like just the feeling of it is like I don't want to be quote unquote son who has failed them.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's a mindset I need to get out of because it's like dude, you're going to school, you're being happy, and I think that's like something that they want to see, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what you say to them, it's like oh, like mom, like I'm editing these videos and I'm I'm dancing, and then I have to go to class, then I have work, then I have to eat, and then I have to do homework at night.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, well, that's like normal. Because she's like, my dad's like, oh, like I had to do this, and this.
Yeah.
Like I had to like live with cockroaches and like work 2 jobs while your mom was like having your brother. And I was like, how am I supposed to come back to that? Um, but then I just realized I was like the whole journey thing is like I have to make sacrifices, and you have to make sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, we're gonna get to where we want to be, and we just have to make sacrifices. Like I had to sacrifice my sleep here and there. I
Mm-hmm.
had to sacrifice some like relationships
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
In high school, it was really bad. Like I would get in a relationship, and then school would like take over,
Mm-hmm.
and she would be like, "Oh, like I haven't seen you in a while. Like why don't we see each other?" And I'm like, "Oh, like I'm sorry. Like I got homework, stuff like that." And then she'll bring it up again, and then oh, like I got this project. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
which is a terrible excuse.
Mm.
And then we just end up breaking up
Mm.
because of that. And I'm like I'm not gonna pick a girl over like a relationship over my parents.
Mm-hmm.
But like thinking about that now is like that's absurd because you're living accustomed to like what they want you to do and
Yeah.
not what I wanted to. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, like you did stuff that made other people happy, so why don't you do it? It's not logical for like your parents to for you have a restriction and conform to that restriction when
Mm-hmm.
you could be doing something better.
Mm-hmm.
So as I like been living with them and like living more and more, I'm like, okay, like, there's always a compromise. Like you gotta do what you gotta do either way.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in the beginning I was like, I'm taking this shit for granted. But sometimes you're like, yo, I don't understand, bro. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, my parents will be my parents. Still love them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just pleading for a little bit of like time for me to do what I have to do.
Yeah. Dude, that friction, bro. Well,
Mm.
I'll give you some wisdom. I've said it a lot of times in my stories and stuff. and this is like, if I ever just like do this, because usually I'll ask certain things, but if I just jump in because I have a clear idea of the picture that you've painted, it's that. And the reason I do these streams, right? It's like so that people have insight on the process of how things work, and the way that, on some level, some things that we're taught obviously aren't the smartest ways. And so I wanted to say, when it comes specifically to your parents, because they matter, yeah, if you can start seeing it this way, where it's short-term pain and long-term gain in a different way. Okay, some people would say like, oh, school, you can just tough it out for 4 years and then you can do all these things. It depends on how but we're gonna go very specific with your parents. And what this means, this is not traditional advice, and this is the part that most people don't understand, because people are scared, and I get it. But when you do it, and you have patience, and you trust it, and you start to learn more, things start working out. So when you say like repay your parents and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, that's beautiful, and we should all strive for that. And there are different ways to do it. We're taught how to do it incorrectly. So, and that's no one's fault per se. It's a whole systematic thing. You can repay them. And I say this to a lot of people. I was like, teach people how to love you for you, right? Teach your parents how to love you for who you are, and to feel whole, because your successes won't do anything for them. They're still going to have the same worries, and because everything's always about proving this and proving that and proving this, and under what they see as correct. So in order to truly help someone, you got to expand that mind, and you got to challenge their notions and do it in a way that, if you're like, I believe in this, it's going to work this way, even if it takes 10 years, it's going to take 10 years. And then you do it, and it's like, oh, wow, I finally understand. So when we talk about short-term gain, the short-term gain is, and this goes, so beyond parents, it goes for your, a lot of friendships and relationships that you have. It's knowing that instead of compromising with every single relationship that you have, in order to have a fresh start and to bring the type of energy you want into your life, and to have to compromise less, and you'll find people who will love you for that, not the compromises, like all the compromises you have to make. When you are in that space, it's so much easier because you don't have to think about that person, this person, that person, this person. So you will hurt people in the short term, which means for years, but the long term is seriously awesome, because that is proper. So instead of like, repaying them in the sense of like being a good kid or getting what they want from you, or a financial payoff or whatever, which is great, and that's a different type of short-term pain on your end, where you get to fucking suffer and then maybe satisfy them. There's no guarantee in that. And from what I've been able to witness, you can't satisfy someone because they got to learn how to do it for themselves. That's the thing that people miss out on. It's like, you can make them proud, and you can do it on their watch and on their terms, or you can do it your way. And at the same time that you do it your way, you get to open up their eyes. And that's the beautiful part. Instead of keeping them stuck in that world and relying on you instead of trying to get it for themselves. So what I like to tell people is like, do you think the relationship that you're in, usually it's not parents, it's like relationships. I'm like, do you think you're serving that person, or do you think you're hurting them? I'll ask them. And because everyone thinks that that attaching and loyalty is the best thing to do, and compromising and dealing with the suffering, I'm like, do you think you're halting their growth? Do you think they're emotionally dependent on you? Do you think they're relying on you for some sort of sanity? I'm like, if they are, and you're part of that problem, I'm like, that you're helping inflict pain into their life, instead of teaching them how to empower themselves. And the best way to teach someone to empower themselves and become more whole is to be the example. So when they see Randy flourishing and having a good time and breaking the rules, but still being everything that on your terms in some ways, like a good son. So like, I broke a lot of rules, but I was still a good son. So I tried to make those compromises, but I didn't live my life for them. And so when you see my mom now, dude, you didn't know my mom a long time ago, but everyone else did. So of all of the siblings, like, so she has like sisters and brothers and stuff,
Yeah.
I ended up being born into the parent that was the most strict, and I couldn't do shit. I got my ass beat. I couldn't do anything, right? And so
Yeah.
I was like, this make no sense, and I'd break every rule and get in trouble along the way,
Uh-huh.
all to eventually reach a place where it's like my mom no longer cares about how she's seen because she's always concerned about how I'm seen. So like everything from physical appearance to accomplishments, you know. Now it's like just do what you love, son, and like all of that didn't just happen overnight, just like anything else. But what was the price? The price was going against all of it and being like, no, look, like this is important. My health is important, and this is important. I'm great, and like my friends coming into this house and like being so wonderful and having these connections and her being able to see stuff and her coming to the convention was a huge icing on the cake because even though she knows her friends and she knows that they're good, like that was kind of like the final like she started bragging to people about the convention, telling them to
Yeah.
go and stuff, and I was like, yo, like she finally feels what I feel and what I
Yeah.
do, and she's able to see the love and stuff. And so I was willing, without any wisdom at the time, to go through that because I had faith that my mom would come out better eventually. I didn't really
Yeah.
know that at the time, but I just believed in it. And so now being in this place and being able to see things unfold, it's like it's that plays a huge part. And I tell people a lot, like I tell a lot of people that because we don't want to disappoint our parents, but I'm like, they're not right, and unless you're willing to go through hell with them, um,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you'll finally get the good stuff later, much later.
Yeah.
And
Word.
then you serve them because then they're like, it's like my mom when I used to ask her all the time. I was like, hey, like, what's your dream? It's like, oh, I want to see you have kids and like, or I want to see you be successful, have your own place. I was like, okay, what's after that? What's after that? And it's like grandkids. I was like, what if I don't have kids? So I'm just like testing, right? And I'll say all these
Yeah.
different things, and then it kind of just stops there. But she's like, oh, I just want grandkids. I'm like, Mama, you gotta have your own dream. Like, you gotta have your own stuff. Like, you whatever. And then that would happen a lot of that conversation. And then, but then fast forward to 2018, and then I'm like, so like, Mom, what are you trying to do? Like, you know, cause she's singing again and she's writing and everything. I'm like, you know, what are you trying to do? And she's like, so I'm gonna have like my own lounge and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna have this person do this and I'm like, I want to organize this thing over here. And I was like, okay, like it's not. I want to see you be successful and like my boys and this and that. It's different, you know. And so how did myself and my brother give her that? It's like, oh, my both of my kids are happy. They know what they want to do in life. They're not stressed out. They don't do anything necessarily to me. It's just I'm the one that has all these standards and I freak out and I have expectations and I expect people to read my mind and blah blah blah. And that's why I get frustrated. So, but there's many arguments before she started blaming herself and started being like, oh, it's your fault, I'm stressed out, it's your fault, or like I can't sleep because you and but then eventually it's like, nope. So she started taking responsibility for herself. Then she started getting better.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
My
Word,
bro,
word.
yeah, I'm 25, so like it took her a long time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
2018 was the major like transformation for her. It was a slow process, but 2018, like her and I both, major transformation.
Mm.
So
Damn.
that
Yeah.
is what I want you to know, because sometimes you have to break relationships in the moment, especially if it's family, because I don't most family won't leave, some might, but in general, if you know what you're doing is correct and you're gonna be happy and you're gonna fucking kill it and you love them and you're gonna whatever, then you'll be fine. It's hard, it's really hard,
Yeah.
but it's worth it, dude.
In the end, yeah, should be all worth it.
I mean, you're just great, man. You're
Oh,
just great, and so like I just want to see it. Like it's not just seeing it for you, like happening for you, but like for your parents. You know, like it can happen for all of you, but it's a process.
word, man. Oh, dang. Yeah, that's like the shit that like nobody tells you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like you need somebody like yourself to like just be like, yeah, yeah, don't worry. Like what you said, short pain, long gain.
mm-hmm. Dude, I'm so like I used to come to a bad like I used to not come home or come home to a terrible energy household, and
Oh,
yeah, like just not healthy, right? Because of the things that I'm
mhm.
doing and being that when I talk about being an underdog and stuff like that, I mean that from like being the completely different, outcasted, looked down on, wanting to keep their kids away from away from me. Like, so
Yeah,
in
yeah,
my family,
yeah,
I'm like that person. But then to my friends, I'm like the opposite. You see?
yeah, yeah,
So there's no
yeah,
logic. There's zero logic in the thinking of a lot of my family. I'm not saying that like now, but there's still some of that for sure going on. But like, there's no logic. It's just assumptions, and because it's like, oh well, you didn't go to school, so I'm automatically a terrible person because I didn't go to school. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
so
Which is a rough part because it's
yeah.
like now like school is like, dang man, there's gonna be a point where like you need a master's. No, not even a bachelor. You
I
need a
don't know.
master's.
The bar keeps getting higher.
I know, but you know, it's all but goes back to that journey, and I like to hear that it's all your journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anybody else's journey. It's your own. It's your life. All that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not cutting into your next person's time, am I?
A little bit, but I mean, we did that with Chris's, so we'll end soon. I think I just want
Mm,
to leave you on a note and say, and then you can say whatever you want to say after that.
yeah.
You know, whatever you want to do moving forward. Um, if you want to figure things out mentally, or take some risks, or do some scary shit, or grow something, if you have entrepreneurial DNA, which I don't know, but I know a lot about all those things.
Mm,
You know, because when you say like, oh, like I would just dance, and so when like I really listen to people's choices of words, because I know when someone knows and when someone's just guessing about themselves, and so I
mm,
never try to push for like, oh, he said dancer, all right, that's it. Like then my mind is like all geared and be like, okay, as a friend, I'm gonna be like dance, 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 but I don't do that. I used to when I was younger, but it's more of like
mm,
I'm interested in seeing like who Randy believes he is and what he wants to do, like deep down with like, and he knows for sure, but he might not just feel like it's possible because of certain things. Like if you're like, oh, I need to dance 40 hours a week in order to be a successful dance player, but I don't have that kind of time. But then I would come in and be like, hey, look, I don't think you like know this, and this, and I would give all that information. And I've learned that like I've gotten confident because of information that is
mm,
useful to my ambition. And so when I pass on information to people who have ambitions, but they just don't think it's possible, or they think of only the traditional route, and then when I plant the seed, they're like, holy shit. And I was like, yeah, like you don't know that. So one example, he said sports. I had
mm,
there's plenty of people, and so if I was into this, I would have done it already, but I'm not. um,
yeah, yeah.
so every industry has been affected by the internet, like every single one. And there was a power shift and a wealth shift when we think about entertainment purely, like you know, from blockbusters and big movies to Netflix to digital streaming. And then esports has arisen, and like TV numbers have gone down. We listen to music differently. We don't buy CDs or have to listen to the radio or whatever. Now we stream when we want, whenever. We never have to pay for music, all that kind of stuff. There's YouTube. Instead of watching TV, we watch YouTube or we watch Twitch. Um, and I was like, there's going to be a time when the NBA and like the NFL and all that stuff, they have competition. They don't have competition yet. You know, and then there's college sports, and then I think there's street sports, and then there's like, you know, the official stuff. But there's an entire gap that is not like it's not a thing yet. I'm like, there's money to be made, just no one's just doing it right yet. And so an example of
Mm,
that is like esports. So games have become an entire industry, and at the top, or the most like, you know, well-known thing is like, you know, competitive. So you could think of them as professionals. So you see
mm,
competitive gamers. Then in the middle of all of that, you have streamers and content creators. But for basketball, you only see professional athletes. But there's nothing
right.
in the middle. But there's a lot of money
Mm,
to be made, just no one's just doing it. And so
mm,
when I think of, and I try to plant, you know, tools and resources into to people who believe in this stuff, I'm like, look, you could build, you know, a league, and you could do this, and if you did it correctly, you could create or be a part of this entire untapped sports industry, and it is. And I know people try to like, there's leagues and like people trying to continue to play sports even after college and stuff,
yeah.
but it's still not prominent. It's not as accessible
Mm,
because no one's doing it correctly,
right.
or it's just not big enough yet. So
Mm,
we only talk about, like, people will talk about, you know, Twitch streamers and YouTubers and stuff, the same with like, and we still talk about like Hollywood people and whatever. So, and we have our famous sports players, but we don't have any like dope soccer Instagram people or like Twitch basketball players or basketball YouTube. We don't have that. We can,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we can, but no one's doing it, or there's not enough. I know there are people doing it, it's just not enough. So there are like, I know that there's like a soccer player person that makes more than a professional athlete. He's just a whatever you call it, a content creator. And it's like,
No, yeah.
you know, so yeah. So if you need help with anything, whether it's like mental or like you're going through, or you're gonna take like a big risk, a lot of people always come to me with like pivotal, like yo, I'm dropping out of school, but I'm so scared, or I'm trying to break up with my girlfriend, or like I broke up with my girlfriend, or like yo, I'm about to just do this whole thing with my parents and I'm fucking terrified, or like I'm gonna leave my house. Like people come to me with like some major shit, and I'm like, it's all good. I'm rooting for you, and like I can tap into like this whole community who's really supportive. It can like help guide you through the parts where you feel fucking depressed or you're second guessing yourself. If you ever talk to Kevin Chia, he's like he's my favorite current example of finally stepping up and being himself. And he sacrificed a lot in such a short amount of time because of intermission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Have you heard about that or have an idea?
I didn't hear about it, but I can see what you're talking about. Like
Yeah.
I can see like what you had to like let go in order to do what you want.
Mm-hmm. And he repaired his relationship with his parents in the process, so it's different for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
He used to have a horrible relationship with them, but during that process of intermission and finding himself and all that stuff, he actually has a relationship with his parents now.
That's dope. That's dope. That's how you do it. Shit.
Yeah.
Damn. It goes back to that everybody has a journey. You got to
Mm-hmm.
do what you want to do for it.
Mm-hmm. But he second guessed himself a lot. He crying one day, happy the next, and it's just like this whole, and he's just, but at the same time it's like he's getting smarter and more confident and he's happy. He's like, yo, I'm scared but I'm so happy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm proud of him.
Good. Good. I did not know that about him.
Yeah, if you ever talk to him, which I really highly recommend that you should, just kick the shits with him. He also used to never be open, so him opening up to you and just being legit is fucking insane. Yeah, he used to be not sure anything with anybody besides like Charlie, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's changed a lot. Dance was the way, you know. So dance kind of showed him the way.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
Travis, and he's been on the grind. He's been
Yeah.
telling me a lot. Like, yeah, he was like touching base about like the love stuff a little bit when we were talking.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't dive too deep into it, but he did talk about it. But
I'm gonna talk to him about that sometime soon, hopefully.
Well, I'm gonna say thank you for all that you've given me. It was good to like talk about all this stuff because I feel like it's like my stuff is like not something that, I mean, people can be like this, and this,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like when people talk to you, you give like an incremental step towards like what you have to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a light at the end of the tunnel where people are just like, yeah, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but they don't tell you how to get there or like what you have to think about before you get there. So yeah, major praise, major thank you. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Always a pleasure to
thank you.
fucking praise you. Hopefully I'll see you next semester and come for a workshop or something.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely let us know. Definitely house you again.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you, man. I really love talking to you.
Of course, and same thing to you. If you need any help with anything, let me know. Because I know you're doing talking for everybody else. Don't be afraid to, do it your own. Do it yourself.
Yeah. Thank you.
Pleasure. Good night.
Yes.
I'll see you on the next encounter.
Yes. Much love.